It just amazes me what they did, what they left behind, what they had to endure to get here, and then starting from scratch.
We were so happy. I rode over there to my relatives, and I thought we were in heaven.
I don't think Davenport would exist without the German populace that came here. They were the people who had music and talent and arts. They brought class to the city.
Back in the late 1840s, Germany was a much different country than it is today. A war had just ended, taking the lives of many and leaving others eager to find a more promising future someplace else. In 1846, Iowa became a state and welcomed people from all over the world to its wide open fields and big factories. In 1847, a special steamship was invented that made it easier for large groups of people to travel. Many Germans rode these ships to New Orleans and then ventured up the Mississippi River to the Quad Cities. The Germans that came here after the battles of 1848 were the leaders of their communities. Many were teachers, lawyers, and elected officials. Although they had all kinds of promise to accomplish great things, many felt the chances of seeing their dreams become a reality were not very good in Germany. So they came here. Upon arrival, many lived briefly in this building, which is now the German-American Heritage Center. And just as they had been leaders of society in Germany, they set up a German society of their own in the Quad Cities.
My parents had a grocery store. I almost had to know German because so many of the customers were German. They'd want Eiers, which is German for eggs.
Matthias Jensen Rolf, a music teacher in Germany, was one of many Germans that settled in Iowa. One of the prized possessions he brought along was his piano, which he uncrated in his barn and began to play. Not long after, a group of nearby Native Americans heard a strange sound coming from Rolf's barn and wondered what it could be. They'd never heard anything like it in their lives. Mr. Rolf invited them in and played for them, and generally, this is regarded as the first piano recital in Scott County. Rolf wasn't the only German to share his musical talents. Germans formed the Davenport Zither Club, as well as the Quad City Symphony, the second oldest symphony in the country. Organizations like the Davenport Turner Society were created so that Germans could get together for athletics or to discuss important issues. The society also made it possible for Germans to spend their Sunday afternoons the way they had in Germany. Continental Sundays, as they were known, brought families together to eat, play cards, and listen to music. These Sundays rewarded local Germans for their hard work and gave them a chance to be together and do the things they loved with the people they loved. Founded on August 3, 1852, the first Davenport Turner Society's motto was freedom, education, and prosperity. Not long after the Turner Society was founded, the first railroad bridge over the Mississippi River was built. It connected Rock Island, Illinois with Davenport, Iowa, and made the journey west by Germans faster and easier. The Germans who came here wanted freedom and liberty, which they valued highly. In fact, some of the largest supporters in the fight against slavery were Germans. Many of them had just fought and lost a battle in Germany. But when the Civil War broke out, German immigrants were among the first to join the military. In spite of their love for this country, Germans have not always been well liked here. Between 1914 and 1918, the U.S. and other countries were at war with Germany in what we now call World War I. As a result, many Americans took out their anger against Germany on Germans that lived in the U.S. Posters were printed criticizing Germans and Germany's leaders. Soon, Germans weren't allowed to speak German at school or at work.
Ist so alt wie Thomas? Ist älter. Ist wie alt? Ist 20.
German instruction was forbidden by law. Plenty of German teachers in the state of Iowa reported for work only to discover they were out of a job.
In the 1940s, when another war was taking place, World War II, many German Americans saw this as another chance to show the loyalty they had for their country. They would be the largest buyers of bonds, which were used to help pay for the war. After Germany lost World War II, many of its people had their land, their jobs, and their homes taken away from them by the people who had won the war. Some Germans believed the only chance for a better life was to come to the U.S. Emily and Ralph Braun were able to do this with the help of Quad City and Norman Fry.
The Russians came closer and closer, and they want all the German people out of there.
Yeah.
I remember my dad, they packed the little stuff on the wagon, horses.
Yeah, and left.
And the older people and the children were on the wagon, and we young ones walked for 3 months.
Yeah, it was difficult.
In the Russian zone, while we were living in one room, we got married then in 46. You marry anyway if there is war or peace.
Yeah, right.
So then in 1948 in January, we fled over to the English zone. There we stayed till 1952. That's when we immigrated to America. When we arrived in New York at the harbor, I remember when the fog lifted and we saw the Statue of Liberty, everybody cried on that ship.
Over the years, as Germans settled here, they wrote to their loved ones in Germany, telling of all the benefits that America offered. Those letters, in turn, caused even more Germans to want to come to the U.S. By the 1920s, approximately 200,000 people had come to this country from the German state of Schleswig-Holstein, with most of them settling in Iowa. That's equal to about twice the number of people now living in Davenport. Some came to find work. Some came to escape war. And some came in search of a freedom they could only dream about back home. In a poem written in 1917, one German immigrant expressed the hopes felt by many Germans then and today.
March ahead in transport, banners proud and bold, as we in sweep of victory through the world unfold. Be it heavy conflict or a feast of glee, we shall stand beside you, fresh and bright and free.